Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Okay. Okay. How are you?
I'm all right. You running around this morning?
Yeah, it was a little bit nuts. In addition to my assistant coach not showing up, my co-coach was sick, and so I had all the boats myself. And we've been just having like a ridiculous amount of debris in our river. Um, like a huge rain event last week, and so there were whole trees. So it was a little. Everyone got back. All the boats had their skegs. All my boats had their skegs. That's all I care about. But um, yeah, it's a little stressy.
Well, I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it safely.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what we want to work on in particular. I know, and just looking at our conversation and emails, just general length, length and over compression. I mean, what are you thinking?
So I think I'm missing connection at the front end. And where I've noticed it mostly when I'm rowing at pressure, it's not an issue, like low stroke rating, especially, but rowing at pressure, I can get connected. It's when I am not rowing at, 90% plus pressure, which for like any of the steady state that I've been doing in preparation for this super long row, I'm not rowing at significant pressure and I'm so short. And um, I think also what's going on a little bit is I've been dealing with like a hamstring issue. And so I'm wondering that may be part of it. Um, but especially like the long endurance rows I'm doing, like my cardio is there, and it just, 5K in, it just starts to hurt. And I'm not able, I think that also is affecting my ability to get connected. Like I'm just not getting connected at that point. And so everything just like deteriorates.
Yeah.
So I've really been struggling and I'm trying to rest my hamstrings. I think that's the only thing for that. But in the I know I'm also missing connection at the front end um, at lower um, at lower pressure. And I
Yeah.
just started playing around with like trying to keep my heels down to see if that's going to help. I can't really tell if it's helping though.
Okay. Yeah. And remind me how tall you are again?
I'm 5'5".
Okay. Okay. Well, let's do this first. Let's get you connected to Ergzone if it's possible. That way I
Yeah.
can see your numbers in real time. I'm looking at your SPI test. 1.42 was your longest stroke, at 16, which is 5.5. I mean, I would imagine we can get you longer, but you're not going to be like 1.6 or anything like that. But I'm curious because I know we haven't done any one-on-ones before, right? Like we haven't really done anything where we look at your stroke independently.
Uh,
Did you do it
no,
initially
not really.
with anybody?
I did with you, but I don't think we were on the erg.
Okay.
Do you just want me to get hook up to a warm up room?
Yeah, war room is fine.
Okay.
Anything that's easy. And you have some mobility stuff with your shoulder, right? Do I remember that
Yeah,
correct?
it's not so much mobility as just like unevenness.
Okay.
I've been doing PT for that. So it's strong, it's stable, but I'm crooked.
Okay, cool, cool. Just good to know. Yeah. All right, cool. So I have you on there. So what we'll do first, just row like, have you done anything this morning or no?
I just did like 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. So just row like 16 strokes a minute, easy, long, nothing crazy. I'll have you row for just about a minute or so, and we'll just go from there.
Okay.
Would you say you're pretty flexible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And pause at the finish. Cool. Go to arms out, body over. And just take one stroke, catch to finish, pause at the finish. Go. Arms out, body over. Same thing, one stroke, catch to finish. Go. Arms out, body over. Get the handle 1 inch higher for me. Good. And same thing, row. Arms out, body over. Keep the hands that high and row. All right, relax for a second. Relax, relax. Do you have the ability to angle the camera slightly more to the catch to where I can actually see that vertical bar? There you go. Just, you can even go back a little bit more, just to where I see that black. That's good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, so you're pretty flexible. You can, like, you've got no problem with the hip hinge. One thing, you over, so you said you've been trying to keep your heels down. What thinking were we working through with that?
I think I'm lifting a lot of my catches. So you can see like when the flywheel slows down, I get longer strokes. So I think maybe part of it's a timing issue, but I think I'm also, like I said, I think I'm not catching the flywheel at the right time, but I'm also, there's something, I'm starting my drive when I'm not connected. So I was thinking, I was really just playing around with anything I
Yeah.
could think of. But maybe if I'm over compressing, like I'm not going to get any acceleration from here to here.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Now that I can see the catch, take like 10 strokes at 16 like you were before. Just do the same thing you were doing before. And I'm gonna talk to you while you do this. Just keep taking the strokes like you are. Don't make any changes. I just want you to observe, right? So I want you to observe the height of the handle when you arrive to the catch, like now, right? And then the height of the hands when we come out of the catch, right? They're two different heights, right? You can see that. So pause at the finish. Arms up, body over. We know this. Cool, cool, cool. Arms up, body over. Sorry, you froze for a second. Hold on, relax. There you are. All right. Now I want you to like get the hands like a half an inch higher than you think you should. A little higher. Yeah. Gonna be a little crazy. And now when I say row, I want you to push the handle like an inch far, like get that round ring, that half ring that's extended in front of the handle. Get that into that rectangle and take one stroke catch to finish. Go. Take it. Take the stroke. There you go. Get it. Pause. All right, 1.45. Now, do you pay for premium UC drive length?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, cool. I just want
Yes.
to make sure because I could tell if I have to tell you or not. Now, that stroke 1.45 was longer than you've taken. Now, getting you to reach to the catch, is that uncomfortable? Is that too long? Like, does it feel wrong?
Yes.
It does. Now,
It
let's
does, like,
refresh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're a little over compressed, but I mean, that's not the end of the world. Now, your height, you're at 5'5". You've got pretty long arms though. Right? You've got long arms and legs.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really limit you too much on getting connected to the front end. Like you getting that long to the catch, yes, you're a little over compressed, but we'll talk about that in like 5 minutes. I'm not worried about that yet. But your limitation on 5'5" should be at the finish, right? Your legs aren't as long. You're not going to be as far down the slide. So we know you're going to be limited in drive length, but it should only really be affected on the back end because you have long arms. You can reach to the catch. So let's establish that we need to try and get that little ring of the handle into that little rectangle. Like, and just like if it looked incredibly uncomfortable and challenging for you, then I wouldn't say that. But you've got long arms. You can get there. Like you can get there, right? And that's going to be a positive change to your drive length. Now, I think also because you're at Capital, you guys, I only know like from talking to some people like who's like on the comp team or whatever. Like you guys, they row pretty rigid and short. Like in the
Yep.
boat, we row pretty rigid and short, and I know that, I get that, and they're really freaking good at it. We're fast, but like length is like it's, we need to row longer. And you're going to get more out of every stroke by doing that. And especially if you start adding this to your endurance training, like 60 to 70% SPI, that on that type of length is going, it's going to pay dividends. So like, let's just establish that as the starting point to catch. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, your over compression, like you don't have limited ankle mobility, right? Like you look fine. Do me a favor. Move your feet up one. Give me another hold.
Up?
Yep.
Never read like that. Okay.
Yeah. Now, this is it might feel different, but you don't row with shoes on either. So do you ever row with shoes on? Ever?
No.
Okay, cool. And like if you did, then your feet would have to be lower because you have this amount of padding or cushion, right? But now that we've moved it up, go ahead and take like 3 to 4 strokes so I can see your catch position. And I still want you focused on getting all the way up there, reaching, get out there. And relax for a second. Call me crazy, but move it up one more.
I'm gonna be eating my knees.
It might feel like that, but listen, you're over compressing. This is going to fix the over compression while, and here's the other thing, Nora. You're not wrong by thinking about keeping your heels down, but by raising the feet, you're going to keep your heels down naturally. Like you're not going to be able to lift them as much because of the change of the angle. So
Yep.
take a couple strokes, see what it feels like. Again, it's experimental. It's experimental. It's all right. Stay tall, hands out high and long at the catch, right? Remember, hands high. Nice and long and relaxed. Take some light long strokes, light long strokes. I don't want you to think full pressure, right? Because we know you can maximize your length at full pressure. So go ahead and pause it at the finish. What feels different? Relax for a second. Does it feel so weird that you're like unsure?
It feels, and maybe it's just because I'm thinking about it too much, like I'm not really able to use my legs as much. I don't know why. It shouldn't be that way.
Shouldn't be.
Um, no.
Right?
I don't know. Definitely feels different.
And it should feel different, right? But like I will say, by raising them, because you can get there, like you should be able to use your whole foot. You should be able to plant that foot much earlier in the drive,
Mhm.
and just get a stronger press out of it. Um, Pause at body for me. I think like you've got really good body. Like I don't want to say you have too much body angle, but you've got a lot of forward lean, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I want you to just focus, like sit up as tall as you can, but don't arch. You're arching the back. Relax.
Yeah.
You do that? That's a thing of that? Like
That,
you do that?
yeah, I've been, that's another thing I'm trying to fix. I over like hyperextend my back.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, especially when I was doing that 2 by 10 minutes, I was doing that consistently and it wears out my low
Yeah.
back. So I'm
All
trying
right.
to not, I think it's because I'm trying to push my hips back and I can do it. So I think
Yeah.
maybe I need to not do that as much.
Yeah. You're definitely right. And again, these are sort of like all these are like small little puzzle pieces, but I can see that you're like avoid arching the back to like any degree whatsoever, right? Like we really want a neutral spine. Like we
Mhm.
want you comfortable, right? So when I say sit up, right, I don't want you to think arch the back. I just really want us to think just the chest is up. Just I'm like the spine is basically as long as it can get, right? And I want like zero arching the back. Like I don't want you to feel like your shoulder blades are tucked back. I kind of want just take your shoulders and roll them up and around. Roll them up and around. And as you roll them around, like when you start to roll them forward, start to loosen up, almost like the shoulder blades. There you go. Almost like the shoulder blades are going to wrap around the back. You see what happens when I do this? I go,
Yep.
right, like I'm just wrapping the lats around, and it should feel like that's good. This is
Okay.
okay. This like I can like now I see the armpit, the lats connect through this teres major muscle right into sort of the tricep. I want to see that. Like if I could put a white sticker there, I want to
Okay.
see that. And that is a good position, Nora. Like honest to God, if you can relax the shoulders just slightly and keep the head high, like that, but like get used to what that feels like, because that is what you want to look for.
Okay.
and
So I,
it's going to be hard for you because you have a habit. You have a habit. The only way to really get away from it is we're going to run through pauses, and we can do that now. So before we do that, do you have any questions about it? What does it feel like?
so it feels more like the way I used to row. So I want to be a little more upright, not try to keep kicking the seat back, and but my shoulders are sort of further forward than I'm used to.
Yeah, and honestly, like if I'm recording this, I'll send a before and after to you. Like that position looks so much better, just and more
Okay.
comfortable. Like if I had you pause at body angle and you're arching your backbone, like it eventually over time, you're gonna deteriorate. That's going to
Mhm.
become work. We don't want that to become work, right? Like that's the recovery. We just want to keep it easy.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's what's part of what's been happening to me in these long pieces is because like towards the end I'm just like ouch, and I think maybe it's because I'm just like pushing.
And is it your back? You really feel it in your back?
It's my back and my hamstrings. Unfortunately, like where my hamstring is strained is right where I rock over the seat. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I took last week off. Like I
Well,
just
and I think because of that arching your back, right? That arching your back forces you to
is
almost
pushed.
over rotate the
Yeah.
hips and really, yeah. So maybe all of this is right. And like you even said it's a little bit more like the way you used to row. Cool. Let's take it back that direction because it really, really looks good. All right.
Okay.
So pick up the handle, pause at the finish. Remember what that rock over felt like. Super relaxed. Even now, don't arch the back. You're relaxed. Arms out, body over. Good, tall. Don't arch the back. Exposed. Good. Yeah, I know. Ready? One stroke, catch to finish, bro. Don't brace the back. Don't engage. Yes. Boom. Good. Like that. Nice drive length. Arms out, body over. And even I would like you can shake out the shoulders and arms here just to remind yourself, and row. One stroke. Neutral through the back. Arms out, body over. Row. And any sort of like engaging with the back, I want it to just be through the core and the back, through the core and the back. Don't worry, don't arch that back. Arms out, body over. Relax. That's it. Row. Beautiful, beautiful. Arms out, body over. Relax, relax, relax. Row. Any bit of pressure, force, anything hard is to the foot plate. Arms out, body over. Relax. Yes. Row. Force to the feet. Force to the feet. Arms out, body over. Let's go continuous rowing, just like that. Row. Continuous. And I'm just going to remind you, relax, loose and long, loose and long. Force to the feet. Force to the feet. Right? Long and easy. Boom. Relax. Every time, relax, nice and tall. Don't arch that back. Relax. Relax those back muscles. We can see it when you brace. We can see it when you arch. Take 2 more strokes. Pause at the finish. Body over. Sit up, sit up, sit up, sit up. Relax. Don't, nope. Arching the back. You're arching, you're arching, you're arching. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if we were in person right now, relax for a second. You don't have to hold the pause. If we were in person right now, and I had a yardstick or like a broomstick or something, and I put it on your back, like you're gonna lose contact in a
Yeah.
certain because we're arching it, right? And that's a huge. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Do you find that like even with your standard posture, like do you find that you kind of naturally do that?
Yeah. It's something I'm working on in PT because I realized when I started lifting, yeah, I think I'm
That's
naturally just like tilted that way.
and again, I'm not a strength coach, I'm not a physical therapist, right? But I know through working through with some rowers around this way, like I don't know exactly how they do it, whether like you holding something here and doing like like just the RDLs or like the just the
Hmm.
hinging in the hips basically, right? That's going to be like of a huge benefit to you. And I think you could take your feet out if you want, because I know I don't want to just keep you looking to the right. But like on these long rows, anytime you do these on your own workouts through endurance camp, I think maybe outside of worrying about hitting the targets or anything like that, like taking some time to run through pauses and checking yourself that you are truly relaxed or any sort I'm not sure exactly the best way to cue it up, you know what I mean? But like that,
Hmm.
I can't imagine trying to run through anything longer than 5, 6, 7K if we're are if the muscles of the back are that tight and that tense. Like that's really got to be a big part of it.
Yeah. I think so because that has always been an issue with me. And I think, yeah, I don't know what it is, except maybe just don't, for me, maybe I don't need to think about tilting my pelvis and just,
You don't.
maybe I think about rounding my low back.
Yeah. And I think because you've got enough range of motion. Like you when I say sit up tall, just carry that chest up, right? Don't worry too much. Sit up. Sit up. Even that's too much. Like you're sticking your butt out almost, right? Like don't you're flexible enough. So it's almost like 90% of the calls we make is about more hip rotation, more for 90% of the rowers in camp, not you. Like
Okay.
almost the opposite. You know how you feel it in your hamstrings? Like you said, when you rock over, the point of contact on the seat is right where your hamstrings connect. When you get there, when you feel that, that is your cue that it's too much.
Okay.
That should soften the knees. I want you to stay on your butt like that. If you go any farther than that, you're gonna feel it on those hamstrings, right? You're
Yeah.
really gonna feel that. You've almost gone like 5% too far to where you're almost like you're sitting on the connective tissue rather than anything
That
else.
I have gotten bruises here. So I
Oh
think
my,
that's
yeah.
probably it.
So
Okay.
this is all really good though. I'm glad that we've done this because we've sort of peeled back a number of layers, right? Remember a couple things. Length for you is going to come from your long arms. It's not going to come from more hip rotation. You've got it.
Okay.
Stay. We want your spine to be neutral, not arched. And I'll make some notes. I'll give you a sort of a small list of these things that we've talked about in an email with the link back to this. But like less hip rotation because you're good enough. Don't expose those hamstrings. If you expose the
Okay.
hamstrings, that should be a red flag. You're good. Um, I'm gonna say something like that yardstick idea with the spot
Hmm.
on your back. When you take a look at this video later, look at that. Look at the line of that shirt. When you're overarching it, too much. You don't need to do that. Your posture is fine. You're fantastic. I want you to row taller. If you've got
Okay.
long arms, you don't need to fold yourself in half. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to do that.
But I should still try to keep getting forward.
I
Just
would
like
say
taller,
still,
but move forward. Okay.
yeah, I would definitely carry it forward. If the feet feel too high with this change, you know, you can drop it down back to where you were if you want, but you will notice in the video also over compression through the first 10 minutes, less over compression, but we didn't compromise your length. You notice that, like, yes, you felt over compressed, or you felt more compressed, if you will, but it didn't shorten your drive at all. Like, 'cause you don't need to, you've got the long arms. And the only other thing, the small thing back to the beginning was that the hand's 1 inch higher.
Stand up. Yeah, I know.
And
I've got a habit of too low.
yeah, and the big reason for that, for me, just to sort of illustrate it, right? My handle, if my hands have a slight angle down, which they do, I want the handle here to be in line with the lat here.
Okay.
It's not that I want the handle to be in line with the joint. I want the handle to be in line of the point of connection. That's why the hands are higher than you typically think.
Okay.
That makes sense, because that's, if we're keeping them down low, you almost have to brace. That almost encourages your habits of the shoulder blades and a bit of this, because if you actively have to keep the handle low, those are the muscles that are bracing through the backside to keep it low. Whereas if we're higher, right, if I attach that handle to a rope and had it connect to the catch, when you apply pressure, it's gonna go naturally to where it hangs from, and that's higher than what you're normally doing already. Gosh, those were actually a lot more thoughts than I had initially thought about. But do you have questions about any of it, all of it, feedback, comments, like anything at all? I'm big on working through these issues.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I will like that what I think a lot of what was going on was that I was trying to really separate my hips and my handle, and I think that was too much for me. So I think pulling back a little bit, it'll be interesting to see like for these longer pieces, um, if there is an appreciable difference with my drive length. I will say at the end of the last one, it was abysmal, and so anything would be better than that. So,
I saw, I think I looked, it was like 1.2 on the drive length, you know,
yeah,
I think these changes should honestly, even if you are down in the 60% SPI, these changes, all of them, should buy you, like, you should not be taking strokes under 1.3. Like, we'll just
okay,
sort of try to establish that now. And I think that number should be higher, but for now, I think you shouldn't be taking strokes under 1.3. And I think through our discussion today, each of those little points, I think you should be able to put those together.
okay. And I still do think I'm whiffing the catch, but I will leave that for another day.
Focus on the hands high.
Okay.
Okay. I guarantee you, based on, I'll put this in the notes, watch the video. You're coming in at this height, right? You see this logo, and you're
Yeah.
coming out at this height, this logo. Like, you're coming in, and then through the
Okay.
first
Yeah.
5 inches of the drive, the
Cool.
handle is moving upward. And that
Okay.
5 inches is 15 centimeters, you know, 10 to
Yeah.
15 centimeters. Um, and
Okay.
I know that seems subtle, but I guarantee it. I through the front end, you'll see it. You'll see it.
Okay. So hands up, sit up, get the shoulders out.
Relax.
That's a perennial. That's always relaxed.
Right. And I'm putting notes here as well for me. Yeah.
I, and I think for me, when I think about trying to round my back, I think that's what I need to do is just actually think about, right? Because is this okay?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
Because
I'm
can
actually
you
thinking
see
about,
yourself on the screen? Can you see yourself on the screen?
yeah, I can.
So you see how that like, look how straight your back is. That,
Mhm.
good sign. Good
Okay.
sign. Like, that is what we want. That straight line across your back. Because if you arch that back, nope. you're working to arch it too. Like it's effort. Your muscles are engaged to overdo it, right? And just sit up. That what you just went through, absolutely, 1000%.
Okay. All right.
And
Cool.
I'd be happy to do this again in a couple of weeks if you want to follow up. Like it's totally fine with me. Well, we can make it happen.
Yeah, that would be great. Just to make sure I'm actually making the changes. I'm gonna I think I'm done resting. I went crazy last week, not exercising. So I'm gonna hopefully get back into it this week.
Well, hopefully that means you've rested up a little bit. And just remember, make it feel easy. If you're sitting still and you feel like you're doing any bit of work, that's your cue. Sit up and
Okay.
relax. Round,
Yeah, I think
I'm
that
even gonna say it, round the back a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the problem is this arching the back is also easy for me. I think that's sort of naturally my
Yeah.
posture.
And
Um,
that's unlike most rowers. So that's really, really important to remember because you're going to hear
yeah.
a lot of sit up, chest up. And it's really important that you remember, okay, they're probably not talking.
Yeah. No, that's good because I actually have a rower who's very much like me in terms of being like she was a dancer and she's super mobile and
Oh yeah.
I think I she probably could use all of these same things as well because I see her and I'm like, Erica, what are you doing?
Yes, right. It's really, really funny. You see people walking around. It's like, why do we feel like we have to walk around with like my chest puffed out? Like, I get it though, because I've seen it time and time again. For some people, that's just the way it is. That's what's natural.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, relax. And they're like, I can't. Like my shoulder blades are almost locked into place, right? They almost
Yeah.
can't do this, you know.
Yeah.
Ask her, task her with doing that. Like around your back, do more of that.
Yeah.
Like that
I don't
that
think she
that
can.
movement. That's so funny. That's yeah, but it's a common thing. It's a common thing, and this can hopefully help her work through it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
know we
that's
didn't take a lot of strokes, but we had a lot of discussion. Do you feel good about sort of where what you need to work on?
yeah, I think so. I do. And I'll do a little steady state tonight and sort try to start making it into a habit.
Sure. And if you have any questions about anything, shoot me an email. We'll keep the conversation going.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day, Nora. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.